Without that, it's hard to drive a high-performing team.
Letting your team members fail.
People learn best by experimenting the failure.
If I see something that my team did great right now, I will always message that to my team and said, hey, great job.
Do what you should be doing 90% of the time, and 10% of the time experiment. Emotional regulation.
I'm a 33 years old woman and I'm still struggling with that myself.
Emotional regulation.
What do I do?
Emotional regulation.
It still requires a lot of conscious effort.
Me calling out their emotion makes them even more angry. Why are you telling me that I'm angry? I am angry.
People always talk about terrible twos, but no one talks about what the heck is the age between 1 year old and 2 years old. Welcome everyone to our SaaSy Moms podcast. My name is Anya.
And I'm Wendy.
And today we are going to talk about how to build high-performing teams and what you as a manager need to do in order to maintain your team and make them stand out. Wendy, you have been in management position for a decade. I bet you have a lot of useful tips for us.
Yeah. So this session, we want to keep it, super sweet and short. So we wanted to provide you 3 tips each. It was hard to kind of come down to 3, but I do want to start off with kind of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So my first one is really nothing to do with work or anything like that, but it's really understanding your people's ambition. I think without that, it's hard to drive a high-performing team. Because at the end of the day, people work for people, not really companies. Because if I, hate my boss, I don't think I'll last, as long as I could. Because it's not a pleasant work experience, and you're spending half or more than half your day sometimes, when you're not sleeping at work. So you want to be working with people that you enjoy. So I think understanding the people's ambitions, so then they're, felt seen, understood, supported. Like you really not try to get to understand what their career goals are, their motivations, prepare them for opportunities that can really, shine their skills, their career, and help them with their career ambitions. Have those career growth conversations, on a consistent basis, not just, during performance reviews. So you're, keeping in check. I think that goes a long way. So that's my first tip.
Okay, actually, my first tip is very related to this. And as we all know that, our team starts with hiring. So as a manager, you first have to hire your team members. So I also think that when hiring, we have to understand the person's personality, some personal traits, as well as their ambition. And my tip number 1 will be to hire diverse team members. And what I mean by this, as a manager, you have to assess realistically and understand what type of projects do you have and what type of people with what type of what type of the hard skills, but also soft skills will make this person successful in the role. So I notice a lot that many managers, they love hiring ambitious people who want to at the end to be CPO, chief level executives. And actually, my strategy is that I usually do like these people too, but if my projects can live up to it. So I will give you an example. So one of the, I work in product, right? So in product, we all obviously have nice business opportunity type of features, which require a person to be very creative, require them to be entrepreneurial. So this is when I will hire someone who wants to be a C-level executive, because this person has enough of the skill as well as motivation to work with ambiguity, to launch something which is going to be cool and effective. But also some of my projects are fixing bugs, improving finance teams, working on nitty-gritty details. Very often, those people who want to be C-level executives think about strategy. They hate detailed-oriented work. So in this sense, I will hire someone who I know is very big hard worker, who maybe needs this opportunity a little bit more than someone else, because I know that these are the projects that I have, and I know that this person will excel in it. So
Mhm.
I will never hire the same personality. I like hiring people who can fulfill different types of jobs. And this will be my tip number one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right. So on to my second one. My second one is in order to have a high performing team, you need to challenge the status quo. And I don't mean like you challenge your, executives all the time. But what I mean, it's like you have to have this mindset and curious, like, hey, why are we doing it this way? Is there a better way of doing things? Without that mindset and curiosity, you're always going to be stagnant. Because I can tell you, being part of marketing, things change so often. And if you're always like, hey, things worked a year ago and now it should work, that's not a great sense as well. And I think that's really key in then driving a high performing team. Well, just, challenging that and then providing them insights on where could they do better? Where can they see where can they improve? Kind of like reward in a way where it's like, hey, like these things that you felt like could be better, hey, why don't you take it on and you lead it and you present it to whoever that might be able to make that decision and like give them the ownership. I always like to have this mindset as like, hey, do what you should be doing 90% of the time and 10% of that time, like spend the time to like like make different ideas, experiments. Because if you don't, yeah, your job isn't that exciting anymore because it always gets redundant potentially. So for me, the second tip really is like challenge the status quo. Don't be stagnant.
Cool, cool. I actually also have pretty similar advice related to that because as a manager, like I like giving people freedom. This is actually one of the way I first of all learn about team members, but also let them learn new skill.
Mm.
And something that I like, which I know Wendy you don't, is actually letting your team members fail. Again, I will choose my battle, right? I will not let them fail in something which is really critical, monitored by CEO, monitored by like chief
Yeah.
executives, something that's like, I don't know, preparation for our largest conference.
Yeah.
Obviously, I will not let them fail. I will direct. But if I know, okay, this is where the person can fail, this is where a person can learn from the failure and not repeat this mistake again, I will do it. And
Yeah.
very often I do it consciously. I think honestly, like I think this is the best style to learn on your mistake.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting that you mentioned this because like I think we talked about this, right? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have difficulties doing that. I think it's just like a personal trait. I think like I think you're totally right. I think you have convinced me over the years to just let it be. Let it
Yeah, yeah.
like let it be and then it will eventually they will learn. I think like you said, I think you have to pick like which ones can be available. Could be not like, a big impact to the business, but it's like, yeah, people learn best by experimenting the failure. And I think that's totally true.
Yep.
And then I think it's like what you said, giving them the freedom to like try it. That's how they learn
Mhm.
like net new skills in order for them to even like progress their career. Because I think one of the things I'm seeing more clearly is there are certain people that have certain different skills that like just are preventing them from achieving that next level. So if you don't let them fail, they're never gonna like have that like hard hitting moment where I'd be like, okay, I really need to make a change. And like you can tell them as much as you want, but without them experiencing it, it's hard. It's like similar to my kid. Like sometimes I just need to let them
Yeah.
fail. And it's like it hurts me. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like you just gotta do it.
It's funny because I have right now like a 15 months old, and a lot of people always talk about terrible twos, but no one talks about what the heck is the age between 1 years old and 2 years old. It's like
Yeah.
such a difficult age, and he cries. Like he has this tendency to cry if he can't make something that he wants to, and I want to help him because it's easy, right? Like he can't open a drawer. Okay, let me just go and open, but I hold myself and I'm like cheering him up and saying, okay, I'm cheering you, you do it, you can do it, I believe. And he cries and sometimes for 15 minutes, but eventually he does it and then he's very happy. Um, it's hard,
It's
but
hard. Yeah, and it's similar to my younger son. He doesn't like to lose. So whenever we play any board games or any video games and
yeah.
he loses, man, like he would cry and cry for like 15, 20 minutes, right? It's probably easier if I just let him like, hey, like just let
Win.
you win.
Yeah.
It's a repetitive pattern
Hmm.
that is never going to be corrected. So it's like, do you want to be easy at that spot or do you want to be easy on the long term? So
Yeah.
like that's how I'm seeing it now. It obviously is, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So on to my third tip. My tip is I don't want to be the bottleneck. So I would give, if every decision requires me to make that, my team will stall, progress will stall because I can't be in every single meeting. I can't be in every single task. I can't review every single thing that you do. So empower them and delegate. I think for me, what I've learned over the years is not just delegating the task, but delegating the outcome. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, I want XYZ to achieve. And I think this could be the path forward, but I want to leave it up to you. And then like you come back with a plan and let's discuss it. First, just like is like every single like meeting I have to be in, like, it's just not a way to scale. And I think define the decisions boundaries. Like, with anything that's gonna be going up to like executive level, like any Word document or PowerPoint, like of course, like I want to review it. But if it's like, with your peers and maybe even like with one or two steps, like you don't need to involve me. I want you to have that decision making process and like, and this is how you fail to in a way, not maybe presenting the best, presentation, not presenting the best numbers, but as you get those, feedback and questionings, like you start to think differently as well. And then you are more prepared, the next time. So
Hmm.
that's my third tip. Don't be the bottleneck.
Okay, perfect. I love it. And I fully agree with you. Delegate as much as you can for anything that you can. Another, like the final tip from me will actually be situational or spot on feedback. I personally don't like waiting till one on one in order to address some feedback. I really like having a strategy where I just am included into a lot of operational things that my team does, but I don't intervene unless I need to
Mm-hmm.
be there to correct certain actions, if that is what I decide to do. But at the end of the day, if I see something that my team did great right now by monitoring this chat or being on a meeting, I will always message that to my team and said, hey, great job. This is exactly how I want you to manage a stakeholder, or this is exactly the requirements you needed to write in order to like excel in something. If I see that my team member is doing something that I don't want them to do, or this is not a correct action, I also will do the same. I will message and say, hey, you did this. Did you consider doing like this or that? I don't like waiting for one on one because all of the situations will be forgotten.
Yes.
We don't know the outcome, blah, blah, blah. So I just do it as much as I can. And during one on one, we can spend more time talking about the
Yep.
project itself, maybe some more details, or reiterating on a feedback. Hey, I like what you did here. I think you should consider doing something else differently in another aspect. But that's usually like much better perceived by people
Great.
if
Yeah.
they,
I
yeah.
think waiting as well till like a one-on-one makes it sound more serious too.
Yeah,
But if you provide that feedback like on the spot, obviously without other people in the room or anything like
of
that, it's
course.
just
Yeah.
like, it's a lot easier. Just be like, hey, like, I've seen you done this. And then, well, have you thought about that? First, it's
Yeah.
just like you bring it up. I feel like it's more like,
I know. It's very scary.
so I love that tip. I love that tip. All right. So those were our 3 tips each, 6 tips to help you manage a high performing team. So I know over the last few episodes, we have kind of like let the SaaSy struggles dropped off just because we have like a lot of guests and content and everything else. But I was telling Anya yesterday, I'm actually struggling with this very, very deeply right now. So I wanted to kind of share my experience. So as part of the SaaSy struggles, my topic today was really about the emotional regulation. So what I mean by that is
I struggle with that too, Wendy. That's why I was
I
like, oh, yeah, thank you.
it's so
Okay.
hard. It's really hard. And like I think it's emotional regulation for myself and then like staying that calm parent and like that anchor for my kids is hard. But then also like helping my kids understand. I think there's different phases of the emotional regulation. So what I'm understanding is like, okay, you have to help them name the emotion because that helps them, verbalize it instead of, acting out, right? So that's a path that I'm continuously taking. But the other aspect where I'm having a lot of difficulties is like, how do I get them from this like really heightened state to back to their normal in an effective way? So those are the two aspects that I'm really, really struggling with. But I want to share this thing that I had with my son recently because I I think one of the things I'm trying to like relate, bring this more on his level. So my youngest son, he is, or actually both my sons, they're really into volcanoes right now. They have borrowed probably every single library book in their school about volcanoes for the last, I want to say like 2, 3 months. So they love volcanoes. So I've been using this analogy with them. And like I try to like go through it once they're calm, but instead of just saying like, "Hey, it looks like you're angry right now. Can you see if there's another way of you expressing it?" They hate it. I can tell you every time I call them out, they're angry. They just want to like fight me, right? So I've been saying, "Hey, you're acting like a volcano right now. You're like erupting. I'm getting like the lava is like hurting me. Hey, let's reset and see if you can like be calm and like, imagine you were like swimming in the swimming pool and like or swimming in the lake." And then at that moment I can like see their eyes like shift. It's like, "Oh yeah, like volcano erupting. Oh, I'm hurting mommy." And then it's like that mindset, it was interesting. It's like I can see their
Mhm.
eyes instead of like they trying to fight me, and then you can see, in their eyes, right,
Mhm.
where they're like just super
Yeah.
angry. They can't think. They're like, "Oh yeah, like volcano, like lava," and then they're like, I think they shift their mindset to like something else.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was just really interesting to me on like maybe just leveraging language to
Mm.
relate back to their interest, and I feel like that has switched something in their brain to be like, right, I'm not angry. What about volcano that you said? So it was
What
just an
volcano? Yeah.
interesting insight that I gathered over the last couple weeks or days that I've been experiencing because yeah, and then after when they're, calm, half an hour, an hour later, this is when I'd be like, "Hey, how did you feel when you were like acting like an erupting volcano?" And
Mhm.
then they'd be like, "Yeah, like I was like it just seems like, lava was like rushing out of my body." Like they were describing it in terms of
Mhm.
like,
Nice.
things like that. And then I was like, "Oh, how do you feel now?" Like when you're, calm, and it's like, "Yeah, like I feel happy. I feel like, my heart is like is not pounding." Like they were able to describe it a little bit more. But yeah, that's kind of like what I've been experiencing. I think I still have a far way to go because
Yeah.
even my 9-year-old, right? Like we have been trying to like, get him acknowledging emotions and things like that. And he's 9 and is still having a lot of difficulties. And I
Mm.
think his difficulties is like he knows he's angry. He just
Mhm.
doesn't know how to get back to the calm state, without acting out, without lashing out, without saying harsh words, without, being violent and things like that. So yeah, parenting is tough. It's really tough.
I
Share
can
that.
say I'm a 33 years old woman and I'm still struggling with that myself. Unfortunately, I don't know, maybe because my parents were not as vocal with me as you are with your parents, but I understand the struggle is real. But I have a question to you though. So, what did you try before and what was the outcome? So, I understand you like said
Yes.
volcano and their eyes changed and they suddenly kind of became more grounded by this because they're like, ooh, volcano. What was before?
One of the biggest tip I've heard from parenting is like, "Oh, you need to name the emotion."
Yeah.
Like you need to name it, right? But I think that actually triggers them more. Why are you telling me that I'm angry? I am angry. Like don't say it in my face.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think and I think that never worked for me. And then that's
So
why I
how
was like,
if it doesn't work, what does it mean? Your kid just
yeah,
couldn't get
just go
back?
crazy. Go
Just
crazy. Explode.
for how many minutes?
That's a good question. Depends. I had
Okay.
situations where I had to run after him in a mall because he was so angry that he didn't want to be near me.
Yeah, yeah.
I am old. Like I can't run in a mall after you. It's like when I'm at home, it's a lot easier. I can like, hold him and like try to like
Mhm.
hug him and try to like, hey, like I'm trying to hold you because I don't want you to hurt yourself. I don't want you to hurt me. Like it's a lot easier. But like at a mall, like I just can't. Like people will be like, "Why are you strangling your kid?" Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think actually naming the emotion, which is a lot of like, parenting tips is like, "Hey, name the emotion and I can't let you talk to me this way," or like, give him a very specific instruction. But I think for my kids at least, me calling out their emotion makes them even more angry.
Yeah. Actually, it's just funny because I recently happened to have a situation. I have like almost 15 months old, not even 15 months, and he is already having tantrums. Like he can
Oh
lie on
yes.
the floor and like get his like legs shaken, and then he can like push furniture that he doesn't like. Like yesterday, like he didn't want to sit in a stroller, and then and he was crying for 10 minutes. I got him out of the stroller. He started like hitting a stroller. But something that I noticed recently, he was like, again, he was trying to do something that he wasn't able to. And then I had to like name this, right? For him, I was like, okay, I understand you're angry because you can't open a cupboard. That's totally understandable, but just try one more time. And he was running towards me and like closing my mouth. So I was like, okay, what do I do? Because actually, this looks like doesn't help. So I know we are still very early because for him, it's a little bit hard to,
Yeah, yeah.
figure it out. But, and still talk to me. But it was funny that I already noticed that, okay, just talking like that actually makes him more frustrated. So now I need to figure out what other strategies I need to use for that.
Yeah. No, 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 you go ahead.
And something that I can tell for like myself, again, it will not help children right now, but because I also have like I can sometimes get angry very, very strongly,
It's
usually
one thing
around.
I really struggle with. I hate myself for doing it, and then yeah, but you go on. I think one of the things I think I need to do better is, like, always admit it and then talk about it after. Sometimes
Yeah,
I, like it happens all of a sudden and I have to bring them to school and then, like, day goes on. So I think that's one thing I really need to work on. Anyways, you
yeah.
go.
But something that helps me, I don't know if it's possible to implement in your situation, but because when I get angry, I'm also like physical. I also want to like hit something, and it's very hard to contain yourself.
Mm.
Actually, the tip, like something that started working for me is journaling. It's so funny if
Mm.
I see myself in a state, I'm like, okay, journaling, I'm taking my phone and I'm starting putting notes around how I feel, how I want to feel,
Mm.
why I don't want. And actually, for some reason, this calms me down. So again, in your situations, I don't know when you like get angry because
Yeah,
most of this time for me, it's when my kid is not around, at least right now.
yeah.
Again, I don't know how it's going to be in the future, but journaling has been a very great tool for me. And I just like tell how I feel. I try to get as deep as I can into deepest emotional layers. Like think, okay, now I'm guilty that like my partner saw it, but I want to change and I don't want these situations to happen. And then as much as like I write like big essays within a minute and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to proceed. It's still hard. Like it still requires
Yeah.
a lot of like conscious effort to like, okay, consciously, I don't want to be angry right now. And then I type and then I'm a little bit more manageable at this point.
Okay,
Not
I like that.
100% pure, but like manageable.
Yeah, and I think that's too, like, because like, sometimes I think when you're angry, you, like, go in circles, right, in your head.
Hmm.
So maybe it's, like, by the way of, like, communicating it, and it's, like, you don't
Hmm.
you don't get stuck. But I just wanna mention another thing that I feel like has been working for my son is, because he gets violent too in terms of like he just wants to like he's so angry that he just wants to like into you. So I'm like, hey, try punching the air. Like, hey, can you punch like that light over there? Can you punch like this like so it's like letting it out, and I do it with
Hmm.
him, and we try to like I don't know we pretend to like box, and it's like I don't know like whenever like I feel like I'm getting a better understanding of how they are and like what triggers them a little bit, and then
Hmm.
if you add a little bit like fun and something that is something they can relate to, at least for me, it's like it's more manageable. Cause and then if I see them as just, little kids that are just having difficulties because I was, very similar. I can't really regulate my emotions. I'm mad. It helps. But it's harder than I say it, for sure.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of energy, you know?
and
Yeah.
a lot of analyzing.
Mhm.
Also, another thing that I just discussed with my partner, by the way, was very related to the volcano stories that you had. Because, like, actually, when I get angry, and my partner just agrees, such a nice, sweet person. But this gets me more angry because, like, what the fuck? Like, why are you agreeing to this? We will mute ourselves, but like, I'm like, why are you agreeing to this? You should do something. So I actually told him that, hey, what I need in this moment is to actually like I realized that my biggest anxiety why it happens is about the future, even not now.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, because this happened likely for the next 5 days, I'm going to struggle miserably because of this situation with my kid, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah,
And this gets me like hyped and like emotional.
yeah.
So I asked to him, hey, like what I need is actually rational advice. I need you to like take a lead, and like in Volcano with you, I know that what will help if he will start talking to me about different scenarios. Like, okay,
Mhm.
you're anxious right now. Let's talk about it. Okay, what if things go positive way? Then this outcome happens. What if things goes negative way? This outcome happens.
Yes.
But I will like have your back. Or it's okay, we will live through this, you know? So we didn't yet try it, but I just intuitively feel like this will help. So I can share
Yes.
maybe in the next
Yeah,
episode if it
sure, next
did.
time. Yeah, because I think I have that difficulty too. Like I'm like a fast reactor, so I need to like always like, let's talk about it in 5 minutes when I'm a little bit more calm.
I know. Can you believe like
It is so
we
hard.
are struggling with emotional regulation?
And that's why I'm like telling my kids too. I'm like, hey, like I struggle with this too. So I don't expect you to be an expert. And I don't expect you to, but we do need a way for us to all like, be able to deal with this because it is hard. It's hard on me, it's hard on you. So trying to figure all that out. Anyways, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for all for tuning in again. And if you have other tips for dealing with emotional regulation, dealing with, yourself being angry or your kids being angry, and if you have tips for us, love to hear it. And then if you are, have other tips for driving a high performing team, love to hear it as well. So be sure to leave a comment and then be sure to subscribe to SaaSy Moms. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.